Hi, this is Peter Stanley. Welcome to my channel. I just want to give an update on the comparison between my two different wicking systems. And this is the self-watering container, and the leaves are wilted because it needs water. And I just didn't have time to do that before I shot this, but I kind of wanted to make a point too that you know, I top these off every 3 days, and 3 days isn't enough for this plant because it's a shallower reservoir. Whereas my deep water reservoir has plenty of nutrients. I still top it off after 3 days, but it you know, it could go longer without it. It would be fine. So that was one of the reasons for setting this up initially, was not having to fill it as often. On the self-watering container, the reservoir is only up to about there, whereas on the deep water wick system, it's closer to the top. So really, this plant looks a lot better when it's got nutrients and water, and I'm going to take care of that tonight. But so it's kind of an unfair visual comparison because this one looks worse, but it's really not. But I made some notes on, I've been tracking the number of pods and weights. So on the wick system, so far I've got 42 ripe pods, and at that weight 240.1 grams. So that's average of 5.7 grams per pod. On the self-watering container, I've picked 39 pods that weigh 230 grams, so it's 5.9 grams per pod. So the average pod weight is a little bigger on this. And this one was actually way behind, but it's catching up. And it seems like the pods it's putting out some bigger pods, and it's just taking these longer to produce and ripen. I got a much earlier harvest on the deep water wick system, and the remaining pods are a little smaller, but there's still quite a few left on there. It seems like this is a little more branchy, and I really hate that this looks so droopy, because it does look really nice when it's not wilting like this, but and it's, you know, fairly large. It's kind of hard to see against the green. If I can get a shot or two. There we go. Kind of against a hill here. I don't want to fall down. It's hard to get a full side by side, but that's about as close as I can get. So overall, the self-watering container earthbox type system, I think, is a larger plant, larger pods that are on there. And like I predicted, I think it's going to end up being the winner as far as pod weight, maybe pod number by the end of the season. But the self-watering container has the deep water wick system has its advantages. You get early harvest, and you don't need to water as often. Although I do fill these every 3 days regardless. This one needs it more than every 3 days. So this is one of the pains with this, with a smaller reservoir, is you're having to do a lot more work maintaining it. So anyway, let me take care of this guy. And I just wanted to shoot this before it gets dark. But anyway, that's a comparison on the deep water wick versus the earthbox style self-watering container. Both have white devil's tails that are the same age, same seed stock. Started at the same time. So thank you for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, just wanted to show that this plant is actually okay. I watered it last night. after I shot the last video. And this is the self-watering container one. There's a little hanging flower under here. It's kind of extended. This actually, this little support kind of helps my plant a little bit. But yeah, so I mean the leaves are fine. It just needed water. Yeah, so it's doing really well. So I'll post another update on both of these towards later in the season, and then I'll do like a final update. But just want to share that with you. Thanks.